We're going.
Oh no.
Oh
Ha!
no.
I'm not there yet. I'm going. I'm almost there. Um, I'm on our channel. Hi, everybody. Dr. Misak. I'm on our channel to go to our show, and it doesn't show that we're on. And so,
Well, right now we are.
okay. Hi, everybody. Deja vu, right, Annie? um, trying to get on myself so I can be on the show and hear the chat and just to say good morning to everybody. And just takes me a second here. Ta-da! There it is. Let me get on there. Oh, I don't want to hear it either. And and he laughs at me. Finds it comical and amusing. So I hope everybody's doing well and just enjoying this actual winter this year. We haven't had a winter for the last couple of years where it's been, um, enjoying a little bit of snow. I want to go sled riding this weekend. I'm telling you, it's prime out there for sled riding. So I always like to start with a Bible verse, Philippians 2:5. I always love Philippians. And your relationships with one another have the same mindset as Jesus Christ. That's interesting. I'm telling you because I turn around and each week, I love this Bible app and YouVersion, and it always speaks. And so, doesn't God's word always speak to all of us? And so, but it's kind of funny that today we say, in your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Jesus or Christ Jesus, Philippians 2:5, which is interesting because today I want to talk about mindset from the standpoint of emotion. And we want to talk a little bit about what I would call emotional dis-ease. And so let's see who we have. Diana, Lauren, and Linda. Good morning, ladies. So I don't, good, my phone's working. So I usually like to see if there's somebody who kind of gets on uh, and send some questions over, and it's always open question, and you guys can put things out there. It was Jackie when I'm not sure when there's a Jackie who emailed me information in regards because of blood. We talk about blood behind us because we try to give this whole perspective of what's the body telling us. What's the body telling us? Just trying to gather analytical information to understand where the body's most imbalanced and how we can bring it back into balance by looking at the chemistry, mostly because RBTI is that system of measurement that just guides us and what we need in most cases and where our problems are. Well, somebody sent me information about a Harvey, uh, what is it? Bigelsen? Yeah, Bigelsen, Bigelsen, and he wrote a book called The Holographic Blood. And so while I've done, live blood for years, I've always seen these structures in the blood that I can't explain. And I've had people come in and say, hey, that's this. And I'm like, well, I've never come across any teachings about that or anybody who can solidify the basis of what those are. And sometimes they can look like they're just, artifacts that when you're trying to clean the slide off, because if you can visually see something on that slide, believe me, you put it on that microscope and people will be like, what is that in my blood? Because it's this humongous thing, piece of lint or something to that effect. And sometimes you can definitely see that, a piece of lint or something gets in there. But other times there's these structures that, most people say they're crystalline in nature and are associated with cholesterol formation and things like that, which historically has been taught in live blood. But other people have called them pteroglyphs, I believe they call it, or plast. Protoplast is the word they use. And I've and I had this lady in a long time ago, and she had brought her mom in, and the lady had a history of years ago working with live blood and a practitioner. But her mom, she brought her in for an evaluation, and while we were here and we were looking at her mom's blood, boom, protoplast point long. And she goes, oh my God, Mom, you've got worms. I'm like, okay, how do you identify that? She says, that is called a symplast protoplast. And I used to do, and every time you see those, it's worms. I'm like, I see those all the time. And I've never had anybody turn around and confirm or deny what any of these structures are in a logical teaching form. Until Jackie, thank you, introduced the holographic blood. And so it's really fascinating because when we turn around, we look at health. The true naturopaths and true people who are trying to understand how the body works always go to homeostasis, and they go to the basis of the body's ability to restore itself. And we're just bringing in all these concepts, and this guy brings into the concept, same thing. The body's as healthy as it can be. He talks about energy and energy flow, and that everything is ebb and flow, and it's all movement. And when you get stagnations, that's where acupuncture can be of benefit. And when you have imbalances, it leads to changing of the internal terrain of the blood. And as the terrain of the blood changes, the microbial picture in the blood changes. That's the pleomorphic theory. And he lays these foundations down for how all this plays out. But then he brings that concept of energy, how everything is energy and flow, and where stagnation occurs, you can have problems occur in the body. And that's exactly what RBTI shows us. It shows us where the body is drawing energy from, where things are problematic. And so, but this gentleman turns around and says, well, when you take the blood out, because it's energy, that these energy and vibrations are in association with a picture, i.e. holographic. And he describes where these protoplasts are forming, and he gives examples where here's one that looks like the head of a femur with a crack through it, and the person had a broken femur. Here's one that looks like a prosthesis, literally is surrounded in bone, and the person had to have an amputation because the exact shape of their prosthesis was encased in bone and no good anymore, and they ended up having to have an amputation. Here's one that's exactly shaped like a liver, and or exactly shaped like kidneys, or here's one that looked like parasites. And he's turning around and making the suggestion that the energy of everything creates a vibration, and the vibration is carried within your blood, your life, and gives a picture. And that's what a lot of people who have taught live blood microscopy for years have said, but I've never seen it put into an explanation on that level, which is quite fascinating. And I think you would find it fascinating, or I hope you are at least. And because it gives me a different perspective, not to sit there and believe and be like, oh my God, that's it. I can't sit there, and I have one person who finally is trying to describe these things. And after 40 years of study, his thing is I have to tell people. But his whole basis is if you clean up the blood, you clean up the body, or the body's cleaning up, and it gives you an imprint or a picture in time of how well you're doing. Well, wow, that's exactly what we say about RBTI. We're taking a picture in time of energy efficiency, whereas this guy's saying, hey, you're taking a picture of time of energy efficiency affecting the flow of everything in the body. Kind of profound, works together. Good stuff. Thank you, Jackie. So, but one of the things, I wanted to talk about, let's see who's out there before we dive into a little bit of emotional disease. Let's see. Christine, Rowan, good morning. Denara, good morning. Is it possible that malignant nodules can change into benign after some time? Heck yeah, that's very possible. For example, in my case, doctors advise to do a biopsy again, which is fine. A biopsy is the only way that they can truly identify whether that cell is aberrant and cancerous in some capacity. They can look at scans, they can guess, they can look at markers, they can say, well, when this marker is elevated, the probability of that being cancerous is X, Y, and Z. But truly looking at a biopsy, which, hey, wait a minute, wouldn't blood be kind of like a tissue biopsy where you're looking at life of your body? But where they're looking at to see if there's aberrant cells that are consistent and showing that it's cancer, and can they reverse? I believe they can. I've seen people have tumors disappear. So I can't turn around and say that why wouldn't the body goes from most important organ to least important, and in a reverse order of disease when you see healing. They're called Herring's laws of cure. So I can't turn around and tell you, that not to do anything that they would suggest. But in reality, getting a follow-up biopsy, that's fine. Just keep in mind, if we do have cancer, biopsies, if they do get through your lymph, you do open a channel for those cells to travel elsewhere. That's where people have had concerns with biopsy and those type of things. I would look and see if you have tumor markers or something non-invasive. There's things called serum protein electrophoresis. And a serum protein electrophoresis can look and see if you have a destructive tissue pattern in your body based upon these immune globulins that are being tested. So, just different ways of looking at things. Let me see. Jackie, thank you. I think, good morning I for the book recommendation. Virginia Highwayman, good morning. Marty, Ken Highwayman is Carolyn. Oh my, hey Carolyn, nice. So 10-4, good buddy, gotcha. Jackie, Linda, Denara, Dr. Misak, are radio frequency ablation and Rife machines similar? I don't know. Radio frequency ablation is where you're using a high intensity frequency to burn a tissue, and to close it off, to scar it over or stop it from doing something. And so, no, they're not exactly, they're still based upon frequencies, but they're not exactly the same. Rife was using usually subsensory frequencies. You didn't feel them. And they were very, very high frequencies that you don't feel them going through you. But he found that those frequencies were specifically in association with tissues or harmonics of microbes or something to that effect. And by giving that frequency, you were either supporting the body, what's called Moore's frequencies, mortal oscillatory rates, or you were inhibiting something that wasn't supposed to be there. What is the connection between bowels and brain, and even emotions or mood? Thank you. Emotions or mood. I mean, the whole thing I want to talk about, and I even brought myself a cheat sheet today, but, when we're looking at everything, we say Tesla, everything. If you want to understand the secrets of the universe, and then a lot of practitioners back then were the secrets of health, you have to think in terms of frequency and vibration. So it's all, and it's so only Carrie Reams came back and explained the body electromagnetically through numbers, mathematical. And that's why I love RBTI, but so many people were unaware of them. Like this guy who wrote this holographic blood was some of the people he brought into the picture. Had he understood Carrie Reams, oh my God, he would have been a step ahead of us at this point, so basically any change in physical structure. Oh God, I just changed something, right? I bruised my shoulder, changed blood flow. It might swell up a little bit. Who knows, right? But that's going to alter energy flow, right? I sent a vibration going through my shoulder. And the question is does your body have these homeostatic mechanisms? Everything in the body is about balance. Okay, this happened. How do we absorb it? How do we diffuse it? How do we protect it to make sure that it didn't cause some type of trauma? There's a mechanism that your body has. And so it's homeostasis. Everything fixes itself. You're as healthy as you can be based upon the given environment. Now let's take that to an energy perspective. Something changes energy in your body, and then that affects these homeostatic mechanisms from an energy balancing perspective. And so Chinese medicine is all about stagnation, or excess. Again, there's that concept of too much or too little. But so when you have stagnation, you don't have enough energy to an area, and they can show where you get disease because it's not getting the energy that it needs to repair. And when we're doing RBTI, Ream says those numbers point to where the most energy is being drawn because it's using up more energy. It's all connected, people. So you have this change in homeostatic mechanisms, with blockages, stagnations, and energy flow. And then that's going to change your whole energy field in a rebalancing effort. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to take difficult concepts and bringing you from this cellular concept that I've got to fix my thyroid gland or fix my adrenal gland or fix my liver to let's look at how everything's moving through the body, and let's take a big picture and look at the terrain. Make sense? So now let's take it a little deeper and say your mind, okay, you're asking about emotions and mood. Your mind is attached directly to your physical body. So if you turn around, thank you, ma'am. So if you turn around and you have, did you run that? Oh, you did. Okay. So you turn around and say, okay, my mind is directly attached. So if you're having a crappy day, and you can just do a check-in for a moment, any of you right now, at least if you're in a safe place and not driving, what if you just close your eyes and take a deep breath in, hold it, and then let it out. And while you do that, you can do a scan. What do I taste? What do I feel? I can feel my butt in the chair. I can feel my back, against the chair. I feel my leg crossed over my other leg. What do I hear? Myself talking right now. But just tune into where you are. And all of a sudden you'll find that if, where you're feeling like my butt in the chair, could there be an energy stagnation there because I'm putting pressure on that point and it's affecting the ability of the energy to flow in that particular point, and that's why we feel it? Okay, take it to that concept. So now if you're having, because your mind's that attachment to the physical body, and emotion affects energy flow. Believe me. Okay, just caused a little emotion in you. Did you feel the energy flow? I know I did. It affects energy flow. And then that's going to cause that change in homeostasis and adaptations of that body in the terrain. And we can look at it from that simplistic aspect, but emotion and disease are not just related. They're interdependent. They're the same things. Emotion plays a critical role in determining whether your terrain is going to try to correct and being able to go towards disease or health. Milton Erickson, father of hypnosis, got himself out of a wheelchair with polio because he knew and believed that he could. How many times have you heard of mind and body medicine? How many of you actually take the time to tune into yourself and find who you are? Define yourself. Because emotion is so connected to disease or dis-ease, right? Energy's not moving where it's supposed to. Energy's going where it doesn't need to. God, I got a headache, right? Think about it. We could turn around and just sit there and look at what are you doing for your emotional well-being? How many of you have crap in your life? Right? So do we focus on the crap? Or do we try to do some type of change? So how do you change this? Number one, you have to want it. How many of you desire change? I mean, God puts the desires in our heart, lays out the path, all that. The Bible, Proverbs tells us about this, and Psalms tell us about this, right? So if God's creating an actual desire for people to have health, does he do that? How many of you desire to have health, right? So, and if I'm telling you that it's all based upon observed patterns, whether I'm looking at patterns in your blood, whether you have somebody who is doing acupuncture on you and looking at patterns in energy flow through your body, whether I'm measuring it through electrodermal testing, whether I'm measuring it through your urine and saliva and looking at patterns in those numbers, right? So you have to desire to have a change in those patterns. If you don't have a desire for it, get off my show. I mean, if you don't care to be healthy, then why are you watching anything that's going to try to give you an onset? Because you can sit there and listen till you're blue in the face and say, well, yeah, sounds interesting, but I'm not going to do it. Because the second step is you have to make a choice. It's the one thing that God gave us. You have choice. How you're going to respond to a situation. Those emotions are real, people. They are so real, but they're not right or wrong. Because your emotional state of whether something is right or wrong is based upon the filters that you had in your life that led to you thinking that way. Does that make sense? Think about that. We all had different paths that led to how we think and how we react in situations. Our attitude comes from our emotional world. It's in our minds based upon influence and perception. How do you like that? What's your influences? I think we talked about that. What's your motivation? I think we talked about that. If any of you want to be healthy, you got to convince yourself that that's what you want. You're making the change, and you have to believe. That's that faith aspect, unfortunately. You know that quantum physics, that Albert Einstein, there's this quote, and I wish I had it specifically. One of them's in this book, but it's basically the aspects of when what changes the perception of reality when they're testing how fast a quartz or a molecule, an atom can move. Is what they believe that they're going to experience is exactly what happens, that our minds are changing the physical world. And many quantum physicists have become believers in God simply because when they get down to the mathematics and the understanding of the control that we have, it's exactly what the Bible says. Get out of the crap world. You have to choose that. If you choose the negative emotion, they can overwhelm. How do you feel when you get mad? How do you feel when you're excessively depleted and upset with something? Tune in. Take a breath. Where am I? Where do I feel it? Is it in my back? Do I have the back pain? Do I hold it in my stomach? So one of the things that I found that I loved about this book is he actually brought in the emotional aspects. So he talked about positive and negative emotions in regards to Chinese medicine and organ systems. So he talks about the lung and the lungs being associated with humility. So either you have either tolerance or intolerance. How many of you are critical? If you are, why? Why are we critical of somebody? It's because some preconceived notion that we expect something different based upon what we want to happen. Because all of us, basically, when we do our emotions, emotions play this critical role in determining, whether your body supports the aspects. And we typically will turn away from things that we find unpleasant or unfamiliar. I don't know about that, so I'm getting the hell away from it. Go talk to a medical doctor about what I'm telling you. Point proven, right? So when we're looking at this, you can choose how you're going to be. Are you going to be tolerant or are you going to be intolerant? Chinese medicine associates the large intestines. How many of you got intestinal disorders? Whether you're doing self-worth versus guilt. How many of you feel guilty in life? And so therefore you feel it in your gut. You ever had that? I got this gut feeling and I can't stomach life. Interesting concepts. So stomach associated with tranquility. Are you content or are you disappointed and disgusted? Oh, can't stomach life. What do? Acknowledge it. Know that you want something better. How do you change? We'll talk about that. I love it. The heart. What do you think the heart's associated with? Love or anger? How many of you are angry all the time? How many of you let anger control your emotions? Love's in there, right? I hate him, but he drives me, love him to death. Right? Small intestines, joy versus sadness and sorrow. I can tell you when my son died, I had some intestinal disorders. Urinary bladder with peace and harmony versus restlessness and impatient. Oh! Sneeze, coughing, sneezing, losing urine, irritation, those type of things. I like, let's see. And then he goes into the pericardium and with relaxation, where you're looking at the past and generosity versus jealousness and the liver, happy or unhappy. That cuts deep, doesn't it? How many of you know from symptoms and what we talked about that you have liver problems? Right? So what do you desire? You have to make a choice to change it. And then one thing the Bible talks about is perseverance. Once you make that choice, you have to be willing to stick it out through the crap. And know that you're writing a better future. Does that make sense? All right, I guess I'm done preaching for the day, right? We're only 27 minutes in. Let's see what we got going on. Let's see. How do you clean the blood, Diana? You clean the blood by all the things that we've talked about. You drink pure water. You don't poison the blood. You do it with the lifestyle that we're talking about: pure air, pure food, pure water, EMF protection. You're bombarded. Hey, if you guys just take it back into the concept where I talked about that energy aspect, like, oh, energy's moving me here, oh, energy's moving me there, right? So go onto your phones right now and then look up your Wi-Fi and look at how many potential Wi-Fi things are available to your phone. So how many of those frequencies are going through you this very second? Think about that. Are those frequencies harmony with your body, or are those frequencies disharmony? Think about that. Is there associated with a dis-ease in your harmony? Interesting, right? Has anyone ever heard of cell phones causing brain tumors? Maybe we should look that up. Has anybody ever heard of radio frequencies causing, oh, great one is those speedometer, those speed guns, and the energy created by checking a speed gun, and those state police who used to set them in their laps and get testicular cancer. Frequencies causing disharmony. You clean the blood by pure water. You feed the body good food. And as your body and your chemistry improves, that model, you naturally detoxify. But you've accumulated crap for how many years? I've heard stories of people who get infrared saunas and they get in there and they start sweating and they start hallucinating because of a release of LSD that they hadn't done for 20 years. Didn't happen to me. Annie, you're quiet today.
Yes, sorry.
I should just go tell you to make up an herbal back there. Start pouring some things out.
You should.
Good morning, Daniel. Linda,
we have some numbers down in there.
Okay, yep. Linda, what's the connection between bowels and brain? Got there. We talked about that, I think. Thank you for the Valentine's special. You're welcome. Those of you who are looking to try the canine telemetry or the vitalometry, I think, is it Heart 25? And is the code on the vitalometry website, and you'll get 25% off this week. So, and if you're ordering supplements through my office, we gave 15% off this week. So what do you think about the Bob Beck protocol for cleansing the blood? He's doing a great thing. He's telling you to have ozone. Let's increase oxygenation. Let's clear things out. Let's help to stimulate improved detoxification. I've got to do a show on ozone, and I find that, interestingly enough, rectal insufflation, you actually squeeze ozone up your butt, people, and what you do is it gets absorbed through the portal vein and it stimulates an oxygen potential and helps to detoxify and helps from an antimicrobial standpoint. And just go online and learn about it. Incredible. The rectal insufflation of ozone can be 90 to 95% effective as people who are getting it put into their veins with IV. Let's see. Luke, set of numbers. Excellent. We'll get back to that. Good morning, Gretchen. Susan, I know you like numbers. Here's mine. Good. We're starting to get some numbers coming on. Dinara, strong health childhood. Forgot about my life and health because of caring for other. Yeah, that happens, Dinara. We all, we go through aspects of life where we lose self because we're doing it for others, and there's admiration and there's good things about that. But you can never lose the aspect of who you are because you'll never perform your best if you completely give up self, So let me get my board back here. Got a set of numbers. All right, so we'll get rid of these from last week. And let's see, what do we have? Annie, you want to read those to me, that 80-year-old?
Let's see. 1.0 4.65, or wait, 4.5, and then
Wait. What's the first one?
never mind. That was height. So or something else. Where am I at? It moved. Oh my gosh, 4.5 bricks, 5.7 over 6.1. Ready?
Yeah, waiting.
10.7,
Uh-huh.
4 plus, and then 2.5 over 6.
2.5?
Yep, over 6 for your nitrates.
Okay. Wow. 80. How old is he? What's his height and weight?
80 years old.
Did it say how tall he was?
1.65 m and 90 kilograms.
90 kilos. So you got to convert that for me. That's 2.2, about 195 pounds and 1.65 meters. I have no clue what that converts to. Less than 6 feet. Okay. So I don't know how many of you got those. You can see the numbers, but just by looking in the chat, 4.5 bricks, 5.7 over 6.1, 10.7 C, 4M2 plus 2.5 over 6. 5'5"?
Yeah.
And about 190 pounds?
Yep. Or yeah, I didn't check that. I'll double check it.
Yeah, it's 2.2 is a conversion. So he's 5 foot 5 inches and 2.2 kilos per pound.
198. Yep.
98. Okay. So when you're looking at this, people, you got to take it into consideration. You have somebody who's a little heavy for their weight, for their height, right? And then you go back and he's older. He's 80. So you're at that state of where you've got a 4x, like an 8x factor, or that 2x factor, from 20 to 40, from 40 to 60 every 20 years, 60 to 80 plus. So this person is at a place where it's going to take a long time to correct this, and he needs a lot of energy to get it back. And so you look, energy efficiency. Is there potential energy with the 4.5 sugars? Sure. Very inefficient though. That's high. So that's going to decrease oxygen availability. pHs 5.7 over 6.1, acid over acid, not good. So if you look at the general picture, acid over acid is that lowest state of energy efficiency. And he's not quite at an E, he's at a D, because you got to break that 5.4 plane to be in the E range. But still, you're in a solid D here, acid over acid. And then you come over here to these nitrates, the strength of that liver bile is horrible. And he's, you're not making protein, but you're breaking down in the body, and it's showing here in the urine with the kidneys getting stressed for processing. So you got a stressed out liver, stressed out kidneys, not turning around and making proteins the way that you should, and the body's breaking down. So poor guy, right? Everybody pray, right? So when you're looking at this is extreme vitamin D deficiency, extreme calcium deficiency. He's not going to digest. So when you're looking at something like this, look at the sugar to salt ratio, 4.5 to 10. It's less than 1 to 2, right? Not quite, right about 1 to 2. What's it supposed to be? 1 to 5. So that means he's not even getting the trace minerals into the blood that he needs to in order to rebuild. This guy's going to be anemic. This guy is breaking down. It's down low. Pelvic. This could be prostate or colon cancer, because at 5.7 and 6.1, or bladder. I've seen 6.1 point to the bladder. I've seen 5.7 point to the prostate. I've seen, in that area, it could be anywhere in that large intestine. Which side? Left side. So that could be, when you're looking at that could be the terminal end of the colon, and say, does this guy have rectal cancer or colon cancer? See where I'm coming from? But I'm not here to diagnose anybody. This guy's a hot mess. So what does he need? Cooked fruits and vegetables, vegetable juices. The body's not going to tolerate much of anything more than that right now. And then he needs some source of vegetable-based protein, not a lot, because this acid over acid and poor sugar metabolism, he has to stabilize those sugars, because if he actually drinks the water, the problem is his coordination and ability, because of the low conductivity, He needs trace minerals, those humic and fulvic minerals. I'd probably do a couple shots a day. You got to get these up. You have to give him a source of minerals he can use and a source of food he can use. So this is not somebody that's drinking lemon water except when they eat. Poor guy. So you're going to have arthritic complaints, probably left hip, left knee. You're going to be holding water. So a lot of that weight is probably going to be water weight as well. He's probably swollen. The liver's swollen. So you need direction. You need a lot of vitamin D. You need some Mincol with every meals. You need some fulvic minerals. You need some potassium. So I'm sorry. That's one thing here. You guys put these numbers on like this. To me, this is sad. I hate to see somebody find that their numbers get to that point. So, you could see a tremendous improvement. You got to see how you respond. You have to start with the basics. Only eat the DE vegetables right now. Cooked, pureed, smoothies, and the DE fruits. I would do like fruit smoothies and cooked or pureed vegetables right now, and make sure I get a little bit of vegetable protein in there with every time you're eating. And not a lot, just a little, because you can't digest it. I would do humic minerals instead of once a day. I'd probably do them twice a day. I do a Mincol with every meal. I would take a potassium, probably a potassium aspartate, because your heart's all stressed out too, the anemia. So I'd probably use potassium aspartate and have you take 3 or 4 a day at 198 pounds, probably 4 a day, 2 twice a day. So you need care. You need somebody to guide, to look at your labs, to see what you're actually doing and to be followed. Let me see what we got here. Protein dump diet is very, very, very hard. Yep, it can be, but it's very, very, very rewarding as well. Let's see here. Where were we? So Luke, I don't know, who the gentleman is, that you're dealing with there, but, give this guy, cooked organic vegetables and a green, at least a cup, 4 to 8 ounces of a green smoothie every day. He's got so many deficiencies. I'd give him those humic minerals. See, you guys calling out of my heart when I see numbers like that. He's not doing well. And so I hope that helps and gives you some information. I know you like numbers. I hear of mine today. Susan, 1.6, good. 6. That saliva pH, you need to rinse your mouth out with distilled water. Swish it around, swallow. Do that for a couple minutes and have a, drink, 3-4 ounces of water, swish and swallow. Because when I see a saliva pH of 5.8, just like this gentleman of 6.1, I believe it with his because of his 5.7 and the rest of those numbers. But with the, and you didn't give nitrates, you're only giving the first 5 numbers. So when I'm looking at this, a 1.6, 6.0 over 5.8, 7.6 salts, I can 4 and plus, you can see that your sugars and salts are perfect, right where you want them. Your pHs are way too low, particularly the saliva pH in this case. It's the furthest away. So why? Is the liver that stressed with you only having a 1, 4 and plus? So this is where you have to have a full set of numbers because something's got to explain that 5.8. And it's those nitrates are what's going to tell me that. So when you see 6.0 over 5.8, those nitrates are going to tell me, are you on your cycle? That could be menstruating numbers. And so, but that 5.8 is okay, is the liver really that stressed? So that's where I turn around and I retest. When I see a saliva pH less than 6.2, drink some water, just swish it around, make sure you don't have any food residue in there. that you weren't eating a piece of candy or anything, that you don't have sweets or just smoked a cigarette or whatever, and then let's turn around and rerun this. So just to give you an idea there, but that definitely is somewhere where we need to, otherwise, you need vitamin D at this point. You're definitely calcium deficient and vitamin D deficient. You're going to be trace mineral deficient. I would at least give, again, I love selenium and zinc when you see that. So there's a lot of things that you can take into consideration. Can you work out for an hour on the, heck yeah, you can work out all you want on the protein dump, whatever you feel up to. Nobody's telling you not to exercise. Runs up endorphins, just, help stimulate the body, and breathe. I bring it back to what we were talking about today with breathing. It's a huge thing to consider. Bring a breath in. Get oxygen in. How many of you find yourself like, taking a sigh or a gasp? That's because you're not breathing right. Right now, everybody put your hand on your belly and take a deep breath. How many of you had your belly go out and then your belly go back in because your diaphragm expanded and pushed your belly down? And if it's not, you're not breathing appropriately. Think about the very first breath you had to take, come out of that nice comfy womb, and oh my God, what is this? I was in warmth and happiness and feeling and hearing mom's heartbeat, and you're putting me into this crazy world, and I gotta breathe? Okay, what's the first breath any of us took? Is that a trauma coming out of that womb, or how many of us think that we really were climbing to get out? Right? So when are you taught to breathe? It's huge. What do you need to get in cold water, Annie?
I'm not sure. I did it twice this week, not freezing cold. I got in my tub, but the creek is frozen, so I don't know what it would take to motivate me in there. Lots of breathing. I'd have to crack the ice to get in. It's a little rough. It's a little rough.
Yeah. So I've kind of gone through and talked what I wanted to talk about to give you guys a perspective how emotion plays a role in everything. We can look at numbers and sit here and pray for these people who are putting their numbers up. But we should pray for each other anyway. My biggest thing is, how do you pray for your enemies? Are we supposed to be blessed to do that and let God do the convicting of them and take care of them, having his poetic justice? How many of you have enemies, or at least think you do? How many of you can mention a certain name of a person and all of a sudden, if you check in and you take a breath, you feel tension somewhere, or you immediately go to that anger surfacing? What's that causing in you? It's a trained event that certain things that you've learned to react based upon your life experiences. We could eat the exact same thing and get exposed to the exact same thing and get exposed to the same type of personality across from us, and we could have totally different numbers in blood simply because the life experiences that led to where we are were different, and how our body was able to hold on or release or not. So that 5-phase health model is huge, people. It's huge.
You have another set of numbers.
Okay. So Annie, if you put I'm going to go back to those 5 phases constantly. Pure air, pure food, pure water, EMF. Look at the quality of the environment you're creating for your body. What are you putting on it? What are you washing it with? If you can afford it, get a whole house water filtration. If you can afford it, make sure you have air purifiers in your house. Think about these things. If you can afford it, get yourself an infrared sauna. If you can afford it, get yourself EMF protection devices that neutralize the EMF in your house, and things that you wear to neutralize the EMF that you're being exposed to keep your body in tune. If you actually believe it's all energy and frequency. Because you can go to these websites that sell these type of things and you'll see testimonies, but is that just a placebo effect? What is a placebo effect? I think that this is the good pill and it's going to get better. So I think, and they do get better. The placebo effect involves mind. I'm taking something, so therefore my conceived knowledge is that if they're going to give me part of a study and I'm on a double-blind study, I'm going to believe that that's the real pill for me because I really want to get better, and they get better from the placebo effect. Why? It's in here, people. Mind is energy. Mind changes ebb and flow. You change energy, you change how your body's going to respond. You change energy, you change the internal terrain of what the body's doing to compensate or to repair. I'm not sitting here telling you all to become Reiki practitioners and learn to move everyone else's energy as well. But I am telling you to become aware of yourself and be able to tune in what's really happening with my body, because that awareness is that Ream's equation called common sense. Oh my God, I love these cookies. Don't care for the cookies that much right now, right? So, what else? For Carolyn, 1.3, 5.5 over 6.3, 5.63, nice sugar to salt ratio, nice cell debris, nitrogen's 13 over 9, not too bad, okay? You're not digesting as well as you ought to be. So you need a little bit more magnesium, you need a little bit more B12, and you got to figure out how to get that pH up with either a different form of calcium and definitely more vitamin D. So Carolyn, you've been here, you've done this stuff. We learned the basics. We gave you a basic workup. You're not utilizing your calciums right. So, you should be with a Mincol at least with your meals, but if it's not moving up, you could try Cal-2, you could try calcitrate, you could try calcium triphosphate, you could try calcium orotate, you could try calcium gluconate, which is already in the new Mincol. You could try microcrystalline hydroxyapatite with a little bit of more bone-based meal, but you need to find a form of calcium and a little bit more vitamin D that keeps your pH up. You need a little bit more B12, possibly folic acid, because your liver's a little stressed and it shows, but you're eating good foods with that 13 over 9, but you're not fully digesting them. So you got to strengthen that digestive juices, which comes down to the liver, and the liver needs calcium, trace amounts of iodine, at least, 1 or 2 algazim a day. The liver needs iron, eat your greens. The liver needs oxygen. You're doing well. Control your sugars. So those are not bad numbers for somebody because your age and pulling through. You just got to keep working on that. Take a little bit more magnesium. I don't know how many you're taking. I'd add at least 1 or maybe 2 until those nitrates come down to about 15 to 17. But those nitrates at 22. At least you're keeping your bricks and everything, but you're going to start feeling a little bit of heartburn, and more likely it's a little bit of angina. Your heart's going to work hard. You're going to be a little bit tired in the morning, so just try to take care of those aspects of what you learned in that introductory retreat that you came to. So Annie, you got to run with the rest of the show. I'm running out of things to say.
Oh yeah. I don't have things to say.
Not today at all?
No.
Oh my God. You want to talk about the oil industry and gas prices?
Oh, mercy.
No, we better not go
idea. We could talk about the new gun laws they're trying to put in too.
Yeah, we better not go political or all of a sudden we'll get cut, right, guys?
Yep.
Censorship. I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry about this world. I'm sorry but we're all chosen for a time and a place and a reason. So you're here and there's a purpose. So let's make the most of that purpose. What's your joy today? Take that breath. Figure out what you're going to do for happiness. Support that liver with a positive thought. Support those small intestines with joy. Think about it. It's all connected. Make the choice to make the most of what we are and what we have. You can't do it all. You know, you just can't. I've had to tell my office assistant, and she's there and she's trying to organize things at the end of the day, and we're trying to go. I'm like, look, it's there. It'll be there tomorrow. Let's get out of this place. Because we all have it. So you have to choose how you're going to respond to it. And you don't need to turn around and take these emotions as right or wrong that are causing everything. They are real. They are you. So accept the emotion and make a choice of how you're going to respond to it and how you're going to allow it to control you. How many of you allow thoughts of somebody that pisses you off control what you're doing in the moment and what you're thinking in the moment, and whether that's bringing a positive or a negative thought to you? Who's your favorite person in the world right now? Every one of you just thought of it because I said so. Now, do you got a little bit of joy and feel it because you're thinking of that person? Take a deep breath. And if you thought of that person, where'd you feel it? Didn't you feel it in your heart? Isn't that amazing? It is connected. How do you tune in? You have to breathe. And getting a freaking cold creek ice bath is what Annie has to say.
That's right. Come out. Come out and visit.
I'm telling you, people, that aspect of Wim Hof, he's connecting people with the autonomic nervous system and conscious with subconscious.
It's incredible. This week I've done better. I've gotten in regular bath in the inside twice, but I've saunaed 4 times, and I don't know, my head's clearer despite right now. Just overwhelmed today, but that's okay. I don't know.
It's basically people, when you start thinking about the things I've been talking about just with your own self and well-being now, right? So now you've got some clue that your self-awareness and your mental thoughts and what you think and how your emotions are real and how you can accept that emotion to have a positive or a negative effect on you based upon choices that you make. You're empowered. You now have the ability to go love not only yourself, but if your energy and everything is energy and you're all of a sudden improving the flow of your energy, what's it doing for the person beside you or the ones you're living with? Let's change the world together. So Annie's helping me do it. At least we're putting that book out. We're going to work on that again today. We got some decorations to go up. Really excited about that. We're making progress. Annie's finally smiling, not thinking about all the pain she's in.
Yeah.
So I think I'm good, Annie.
Okay.
Everyone says, hey, thank you. Great show. Good. I am I have nothing more to say, I think. Can you believe that? All right, everyone. God bless you all. Take care. Thank you. Annie, last words?
Nope. Have a good week, y'all.